Hey, we are playing. We're working on get the sixth game of the tournament here. This will determine the last two finalists. The last game it was the White Knight and the Amazon, so those two make it through. And now we're looking for our last two, and we have, as you can see down the bottom, we have the captain. Oh, I got to put it in the screen. The Woods favorite ambush arch, the Wizard, and the Witch King. Who theoretically I like better than the Witch, but I really don't. Actually, I think the Witch ultimately wins that battle between those two. But let's see. I'm not quite as good at getting the Witch King's vibe as I am the Witches. Even though they play very similarly with with an absorb strategy, if you go that route. So let's see what we got here. So this is going to be a long setup, unfortunately, because I'm starting at the very beginning. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a board. So let's see what we get here. So it's going to deal everything for us while I shuffle. And there's the first chance at a board. So I always look at the valleys first. I don't like this one at all. I don't like this valley, so I'm going to just retry that board. Again, this valley dumps right into the mountain, so that's a little bit of a negative. This valley dumps into either the ledges or the caves. Oof, that's a rough one. I'm not a big fan of that board either. I like the ruins as a rule. Get another board. Ugh. Makes me a little nervous already. So this one dumps into this valley, which dumps into a mountain. Hey. This valley is nice and centrally located. I like that. This valley is good, and this one is also pretty good. I mean, I like this one better. Since you have three decent valleys. It's these two which are a little clunky, right? Is there anywhere to move, say, this guy that somehow makes this a better map? Because the edges of this board are sort of closed off. If you look, right, there's not any good, like there's no good place to put this guy. Like if we were to move this, like where you put him? You can't put him here because you can't line the roads up. Same thing here, which you can't put him there anyway. That's useless. This is useless. This is effectively the same as where he was. Although it's a little better, and I'll tell you why this is slightly better. Because you are not oh yeah, this dumps here. So into the ruin. So that's not the worst. And this would be 4 here. And then originally it was like this, right? So this one dumps into the mountain, and this one dumps into the ruin. This is slightly more centrally located. If we locked it here. Puts a couple dwellings together. That's nice for some people. That's nice for certain quests. I think we're going to go with with that minor adjustment. So let's accept this board. Let it deal out all the chits. Chits are dealt. Yeah, so we'll let it place the dwellings. Shuffle. And then setup is done. So the ghosties are here. That's good. That's good. Chapel there, house there. I mean, overall, I think that turns out okay-ish. I don't think that anything is right useless, right? So that's sort of cool. So we're now going to deal now we're going to set up the characters. Excuse me. Been having problems with my voice again recently, which sort of sucks. Probably should stop drinking coffee, really. Excuse me. And alcohol. Is probably never going to be good for me. So let's get our stuff out here. The captain will go in slot 1. The woods girl, slot 2. The wizard goes in slot 3. And the witch king in slot 4 for us. So that's cool. We're going to unlock and delete pretty much all of the player aids except for the one on the white. And then we're going to unlock this and we're going to make it gigantic so maybe it's actually visible. And then we're going to relock it. And now we clone it and it just goes everywhere. Everybody gets copied. Sure, that'll work. While we're here, we'll take this, gently turn it, and then put it there. And for some reason, one chit never follows. And done. Okay. Clone this. Pop it down there and there. And finally, pop this down here. So we got the board, got everything laid out as far as that goes. Excuse me again. Oops. Whoa, 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 whoa. That is not cool, what I just did. I'm not 1,000% sure what I just did. Why don't we just take one of these? There we go. So that's the events bag. Tables. Good enough. And then finally, finally, let's get our last note card here. And put it right here, right there-ish. And events. Done. Okay. So there you go. So we are mostly-ish set up for the game. We do need a couple things. We still have a couple things left to do. We have to pick spells, of course. And we also have to get dealt some cards. So the Woods Girl is a type 7 spell, a single spell that she cannot cast without color. So it behooves her typically to get a 7 any. So let's search through. So, Wisp, I mean, I always think the obvious for her is control bats, but that's not since it's only because again, she can only cast where there is color already. So she's either following someone around that's going to generate color for her. Avoid danger. Again, it's not the worst, but again, it's only a day. So I don't love her choices actually. Typically here, um, what are her choices in the base game? Like, does she really have only control bats that she can pick? I mean, she can pick all of them. It's just you're now even limiting beyond that what you can actually do. I'm going to pick control bats for our Woods Girl. I've had some luck with that in the past. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Let's do that many. We'll try to standardize on the number of enlarging. So on every 7th day, she has an opportunity, if she can get there, to fly. That's really what we're going for. The wizard has 2 spells, if we look here, and they can be type 2s, 3s, or 4s. Also, we do play the wizard. We get rid of one of his lame 5s, and we grab the elf here, and we give him a 3/2. Which is awesome. And so let me sort of rearrange his bits a little bit. So here's the type 2s, here's type 3s, and here's type 4s. Typically, I'm going to flip one of each of these, although I might flip 2 of one type based on... So we've got a slow-moving wizard with a great fight shed. That's this one right here. And so that's going to greatly impact sort of what we do. Now, I always hear folks, I mean, they're always like, oh, yeah, the wizard, he won with his great fiery blast. And I'm like, really? He did? So we have, what I would argue is we have movement options. Torchbearers are great, so it makes you into a cave guy. That's a great choice. I don't really like Talk the Wise Bird. Stones Fly, I think it's a trap. So in the previous game with the wizard we played, not in this tournament, but the previous game we took Flamesword, which has sort of an interesting dual use because it's a type 2 purple, so it's nice because it splits out his chits. Also, because it's an L star star, all of a sudden we get a reliable M star star attack, which means he's killing unarmored tremendous with that sword. I do like that play a lot, really do. Unfortunately, I feel the summon spells are typically traps. because they none of the summons are great. They're okay, and it's very easy to draw a summon which you then can't actually kill the thing that you're dragging it to fight. To fight, right? If you're facing a T monster, the only thing that you have which will do it is roll double one. I don't know how to combat that. That's a different discussion on maybe a different day. So I think Torchbearer is a good possible choice. I think Flamesword is a great choice. I mean, Prophecy, if you take the optional, which I tend to do, which it becomes permanent, it just has to be energized before the day starts, is great because then you're not right in your mood. So I think those are my three options there. Let's look at the type 3 spells. Sleep is an obvious great choice. A mirror image, I've never actually tried. The problem with mirror images is assuming you can kill whatever it is that you're fighting, right? So the idea is it puts a bunch of mirror images. It's effectively, phantasmal armor that will take X number of hits. If you roll, let's say even a 5, that's 2 hits you can take. So that gives you 2 rounds free to kill the thing. Now, it's still on your sheet. So you don't magic it away off your sheet. You still have to. But if you have a tremendous creature, the wizard still can't kill him. Hell, if you have a heavy creature, the wizard still can't kill him. So having this doesn't help you. You can't run away. It doesn't help you run away. Sleep's great because playing the optional wizard, you get a type 3 chit with a 2 time on it. You can hit almost everything in the game, and you can knock them out and then walk away. Huge bonus. Fleetfoot is a great spell in terms of mobility. Strangely enough, I think Awaken Monster is a little bit of an underrated spell. Persuade is good. I think those are pretty much. And Web is sort of supplementally okay, but I don't know that I take it as the wizard. So one combo is Flame Sword and Sleep because that gives you a valid attack option, and then Sleep becomes your escape defense. Pretty much. That's the call there. I think you could make an argument for Torchbearer and Sleep, because Torchbearer lets you then hole up in caves. So where do we start? We start either in the in-house or guardhouse. So that's a good question, right? The inn, the house, the guardhouse. So I think a cave strategy is not invalid, but again, that, in my opinion, requires Torchbearer to give you that extra phase. Type 4, obviously, Fiery Blast is a huge deal. Again, summons I think are traps. I don't love any summon. Lightning Bolt is another one. If you're gonna hang around mountain, but keep in mind it's only a mountain clearing. Blazing Light. I use the optional because Torchbearer exists, which is that you get all your phases, but it's just for a day. So it is better conditionally than Torchbearer, but generally Torchbearer is better. And then finally, Hurricane Wind sort of gives you a fly. So largely what it comes down to is, do you want to try to kill single tremendous monsters? Right? Because M star 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 is pretty hardcore, right? Um, that gives you a roll a 2 or 3 or less on the missile table to kill tremendous armored. That's a great spell if you're in a mountain clearing. So the question is, what is our strategy? And so the one problem I see with, say, Lightning Bolt is that you really only have, I mean, you get to the crag, of course. That ain't bad. So for instance, Fleet Foot and Lightning Bolt's a good combination because now you can sort of immediately waltz down to these two tiles and sort of own these two tiles. That would be the mountain strategy. Torchbearer and I mean, probably I would go sleep. I always worry about roof collapses, but you can you can do. It's only an H, so again, I think it sort of sucks. Um, so I think we either go general strategy. My general strategy is flame sword sleep. My mountain strategy is lightning bolt and fleet foot. I think generally that general strategies work better in the quest game simply because you don't know where you're going to end up. I do like that mountain gig though. I think that's a fun sort of mini gig, right? Where you were calling lightning down on giants and spiders and so on. The funny thing is, so the one problem is that stuff you have, so right, and I'm sorry, this is obviously a forever I don't know exactly how I managed to screw up and delete my own player aid, but I did. So if you look at M star star star, it is medium, heavy, tremendous, tremendous plus, right? So that's a huge deal. So what it means is a four or so medium, medium, heavy, tremendous, tremendous plus. On armored, that becomes medium, heavy, tremendous. So it's a 3 or less on a tremendous armored. It's a 4 or less on a tremendous non-armored. That's pretty good. The funny part is, a 4 or less on tremendous non-armored, you might as well take flame sword and just commit to meleeing them because you can kill those automatically, effectively. What you can't do is you can't kill any tremendous armored still. So it's sort of interesting. I'm going to do flame sword and sleep. Oops. I'm going to do flame sword and sleep. I'm going to go with what I did last time I played the wizard. I think it worked out actually pretty well. I think the wizard is a little bit of a badass with that combination, even though it's and now grab these and give them 15. Okay, so those are his spell picks. Finally, we have the Witch King, and the Witch King gets 4, 5s, and 6s, and he gets 4 spell. So buckle up. Um, So, I mean, obviously, Fiery Blast is fine. It's great. We would use that with a Melt into Mist. I think Lightning Bolt is still good generally. I think Blazing Light is okay, but not really for the Witch King, but it's okay. Obviously, we can do Absorb. Broomstick could be sort of useful. Drain Life is a winner on any single creature. Hypnotize ain't terrible, but probably won't take it. It's a little bit of a and then Animate is interesting if you think about it, because what Animate does is what the Possessed Spirit does, which is gives a creature, you can raise a creature that's killed in your clearing. Now you got to kill them, but then you could take something like the demon or something like the Tremendous Flying Dragon and just call him right back. So that's sort of intriguing. Um, Ashkar's in the company for the Witch King. Not a big fan of that for the Witch King. Meld into Mist is obviously a game winner given. I don't have access to gold. Unleash Power. Transform is also okay. I actually don't like the type sixes. I mean, Dissolve Spell is sort of a useful one also. I'm not a giant fan of the type sixes for our Witch King, strangely enough. So let's look at these choices. Now we get 4 of them. And it does behoove us a little bit to spread them out a tiny bit. Now, keeping in mind, we also have the Wizard. The Wizard is not specifically incented to enchant everything. If you take Meld into Mist, like if ever I'm competitive, would be competitively playing, which I don't really ever do. We play at home. We play very friendly games. But if I'm competitive and someone takes Meld into Mist, and I'm a mage. I'm enchanting every purple tile and just going, hey, that's fine. If you don't want to play, good for you. Broomstick is great because you get the fly. Done. Also, the Witch King lacks a way to run away. So you can get into a position where you are done. So I think either Broomstick or Meld into Mist is sort of required. And I would have to look. There's probably some other options, but I think one of these two is super useful. I don't think I take Transform as the Witch King because Drain Life is actually, I think, better for the Witch King than. You know what? I'm going to do something a little wacky. Now, this relies on black a whole bunch. And so that, I think's a little. Here's the other thing I don't like about the Witch King, by the way. I don't like all these type sixes. Like he has all the damn type sixes in the universe, and I don't like them. I don't think it's a good. I don't think they're good choices for him 9 times out of 10. And it burns 4 of your dang chits, for crying out loud. It's way too much. He has way too much of that. So I think what we're going to do, so this is going to be a slightly different strategy than I typically take. I think we're going to take these 4 spells. Let me spread them out here. And then give them the 15, which makes them gigantic, which probably not ideal, but I hope you can read them. That's really what it comes down to. At some level of zooming in, I hope you can read these. So my goal here is, obviously we cast Melt into Mist, and yeah, we are at that point, we're melted into mist, right? So all of our purples are going to get flipped. And these are going to become sort of useless. I hate that. That's the one thing about the Witch King I think is actually, I want to say bad design, but boy, would I love to have one more purple and one more black magic here. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to try to drain life on an important creature and then animate and have a buddy. Now keep in mind that flying is going to, at that point, not be super. I mean, I'm going to keep a fly chit. I'm going to keep a fly chit around. And that's in case this isn't going to work. Well, first off, it's to get to a place where this would be useful. I do want a tremendous creature typically because that's gonna it's gonna neuter a lot of enemy monsters. So, for instance, the demon. We've seen this with the animating spirit, which is what I'm going to call it from now on. That thing can take most things that would otherwise be terrifying to a character like the Witch King, like the bats or the wolves or the goblins, and you're done. So he melts into mist and lets the big tremendous thing eat whatever it needs to eat. Broomstick gets us there, and then afterward maybe we have it cast simply to get out of dodge if it seems like this is gonna go awry. So we're going to that end, we're gonna need to have at least a couple chits ready to go to cast. So I'm sort of intrigued by that. I think all the other strategies are pretty standard, right? I think the Amazon is dead standard. I've done this for the wizard before, so it's not new. This is a little new. I'm going to rely heavily on drain life, and I'm going to try to get something to animate. And yeah, that's going to be permanent, so it's going to take up one of my chits and eat them, which I got to be careful of because that's going to only leave me 3 type 5s to actually work with in the future. So I think those are spell choices. I think we're good to go on spells. Let's get starting locations. And then we draw cards. She's the inn or the house. He is what? The house or guard, the inn, house, or guard house, much like the wizard. Let's get attention chits over here while we're doing this. 1, 2. Put this in the bag. Change the bag to random. Done. Thank you, East Paladin, once again for finding that. And then the captain, frankly, I mean, I hate to say it, the captain's choice is usually the guardhouse. So he's going to start there. You know, the woods girl in her house, Oh, we don't have cameras set up. That's another thing we should do. If it's the inner of the house, it really comes down to which one is more centrally located for her. I would argue she's going to start at the end. That's going to give her access to the deep woods. That's going to give her access to the ruins. I think she starts there. Oh, no camera. God damn it. The wizard, in-house or guardhouse? I don't think his strategy necessarily relies on him having buddies, right? I don't think there's no reason to start at the house. It really just comes down to inn or guardhouse. I think he's going to start at the guardhouse with the captain. And then finally, the Witch King is going to start either with the ghosts or at the inn. The main problem with starting at the ghosts is he does indeed need to get off. He needs one night. You cast Melting Mist, and then you are sort of free for X amount of time. Having said that, I think we're going to start with the ghost. I think that's, I don't know. I always start with the ghost with him because it's role playing. So there you go. That's that. So we got starting locations. Now let's get cards for all of our folks here. So we have shuffled. We'll give it one last sort of quick shuffle here. So cut, and now let's deal these bad boys. We got the locksmith for the captain, a dig, archaeological dig for the woods girl. The wizard is being challenged. Pilgrimage for the witch king. Navigator for the captain. Explore the cliff for the woods girl. Wolf tamer and sacrifice. Windfall. Give me 1 second. Black source for the woods girl till the use. Well, useful actually. Bridge magic for the wizard, and explore the crag for the witch king. So let me look at each of these. I'll write them down here so you can see them. The locksmith, I believe, always shows up. Oops, I just gunked up my sheets here. That's too bad. I will have to print new ones at some point. Oof. Professional work here. The locksmith is a random clearing in the high pass, so we are allowed to resolve all of these. Do we have a locksmith? I have a smith. I have a locksmith at the high pass. So where at the high pass, my friend? Where? And for that, we can get some dice out. So that's probably a good idea also. So a D10, a D8, and a D6 are all we need. Make them reasonably large and chunky. I'll put the D8 over there. It's barely used. And we got a 6-2. So that is. Oh, I'm sorry. We just need to roll the D6, and I've blocked it. So let's 6. So high pass 6 is where the locksmith is for the captain. Navigator and Windfall. Windfall is always a keeper because it's $5 if you just stick around one day. The locksmith is not that far from our guy. It will give us keys, pretty much, is what he gives us. It's a VP and a set of keys. I mean, I don't think it's terrible. I think we'll keep those pretty much. I think the practical upshot is, you keep them. It's fine. I'm sorry for the extra noise. I'm moving my headphones around so they're not. So I think we keep these. Locksmith, I think Navigator. And we'll put 3 little O's there. And then Windfall. Done. So those are our 3 quests for the captain. The Woods Girl gets an archaeological dig. She's right there in the ruins. So that's sort of exciting. Search. And she gets a dig site. Again, did I not? I went one pass of these, and then obviously did not do the dig. Right? Well, that's awful. Wood Sprite, Ale, Knights, Bandits. Nope, no dig. Done. Okay, well, that's fine. It's not a huge deal. We'll just get a peace pack here, and then the dig will be that guy. So let's see where that dig appears. And it's in the ruins all the time. 1. So dig there. Fine. Perfect. So she gets a dig site in ruins 1. Done. And I'll make sure I remember he's in pass 6 for the captain, just to make sure. So she's resolved that. Explore the cliff. Cliff's over here. It is worth 2 points to do it. So it's non-trivial to do. She'll keep the black source because it effectively allows her to cast control bats once. Because control bats is an enemy. She can go through the deep woods and get there and get up here, and then she just has to find this part. So I'm going to give her black source. And we want to do explore cliff. And then we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. And note that. Well, I mean, I think my start strategy was to have these 4 treasure tiles sort of as easy access. I maybe running to the cliff isn't the worst idea. It's 2 points. It's hard to pass up, and it's not far away, and it's not inaccessible. The explorers, the reason I upped them to 2 points, which I should update the document too, is simply because they, in practice, were so painful to do. They took multiple days to actually complete that I almost always threw them away. So I'm going to keep it. I think that's done. I think the Woods Girl is set up. The Wizard is getting challenged. So for challenge, I roll this die and I add 2 to it. 1 soldiers, so the top soldier, and he goes to a dwelling. 3. Well, strangely enough, the top soldier in the house is challenging and that I think goes past our spaces there. So we're gonna do soldier in house. Oops, that looks dumb. How about a capital D? Let's do that. Now the one trick here is we have to start unhidden. Having said that, it's the crossbowman. If he doesn't flip, that's a great fight for us. If he does flip, we are screwed. Wolf Tamer and Bridge Magic. So Bridge Magic is wacky. You have to cross 3 bridges. If you can cross 3 bridges, you get a bridge charm, which then allows you to jump off the bridges. So crossing 3 bridges, he'll cross 1 to get here anyway, 2 to go here. And how do you get around to get this bridge? Don't know. Good question. Ooh. That third bridge is actually rough. Like, you'd think this is an easy quest, except nope. It typically is not that easy. He's not going there. That's not acceptable because there's only what 1, 2, 3, 4. There's effectively 5 bridges in the game, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 in the valleys, and then 1 at the high path, the ledges. So he's got to get up the ledge. And how you do that would be, gosh, a little bit of a roundabout, strangely enough. So he would go this way, right? You would go here, you would cross this bridge, and then you would effectively be working through the borderlands to go here. Now, being able to jump off those bridges is great. Super awesome mobility, but man, that's a rough. That's an interesting call. I don't know if it's worth it. Strangely enough. So you're going to get 1 bridge for free if you take this challenge. And then the second bridge largely comes here because you've got to go this way anyway. And then the third bridge is the hassle. You're effectively looking to go Borderlands 1, which means you're coming through this little convoluted maze here. This could either be easy or a disaster based on what happens in the Borderlands. I'm going to keep it. And the one I'm going to get rid of is Wolf Tamer because... And a gold magic source isn't the word. So gold source, done, and the wizard is done. The Witch King has pilgrimage. Visit the chapel, altar, shrine, monastery. If you get 2 of them, you can score. If you get 3 of them, you can score and get white magic. Obviously, altar and shrine aren't terrible. You want to find them anyway. The chapel is all the way over here. It's a bit of a fall. Sacrifices, take a large treasure and sacrifice it at the chapel. I think I'm dropping pilgrimage and sacrifice. I might keep explore the crags, even though that's a rough one. So we'll make a decision here in a minute. Do we want to get rid of that card or not? It's close, the crags. It's worth 2 points. Sure, we'll keep it. Done. We got Arsonist and Find a Bow. Ugh. In Flutter. And then I'm going to keep Arsonist. Well, I mean, you got to keep them, so you're sort of stuck. What I'm going to do for Arsonist is I'm going to do Nefarious Plot. And we have to roll a random dwelling. So I'm going to do plot. So I am essentially the being quote unquote hired to commit arson against, or I should say, let me roll natives. Being hired to commit arson against 7, the Bashkar. I don't like that. Oh no, it actually is. That's my fault. So it is dwelling, and it's any native in there largely is. So let me roll a dwelling instead. 5. It's the large campfire, so that could be the Bashkar. But it does require us to find the large campfire, and we are stuck with those two because we drew them. Find a bow is useless for us. And maybe arsonist on the large campfire is a little dicey because it sort of requires us to hang around woods, which I'm typically not going to. But those are our quest cards for the start. The last thing I have now are 3 event cards that are everybody. I'm a little excited about this Witch King play. That's an interesting play. I mean, you're almost always choosing in Magic Realm. Am I fighting big dudes that are slow or lots of small dudes, right? Like, if you're fiery blasting with a sorcerer, it's tons of small dudes. If you pick a magician and go, well, I'm going to transform, you are committing to fighting a single big dude. All right, so let's see what the events are. Ancient Scroll is not an event. It is got into the wrong deck. Bat Bounty. Okay, well, that's great. Not super exciting, but hey. And that's weeks 1 and 2. So keep that in mind. Bat Bounty. Poison Pool. And the Porter appears. Strangely enough, I don't need to write the Porter. We'll just put him somewhere. And we can take him off the board. So so Bat Bounty is easy. You kill a bat, you get a point. Every bat ear that you collect is $5 returned to any dwelling done. The Poison Pool appears actually at a spot. So let's take it and go. What do we got here? We got 3-1, Caves 1. So Poison Pool in Caves 1. The Caves is this one. Sorry, I put it in Cavern 1. Caves 1 is there. The Poison Pool increases the sharpness of all monsters in the tile by 1 until it is resolved. It can be resolved by... And I like cards with multiple resolutions. Alchemy and Lore. Fatigue any number of Magic 2 or Magic 4s. For every 2 asterisks, you get a chance to purify the pool with Alchemy. Roll a 3-2-1 for success. Done. Purify the pool, casting Exercise, Meld into Mist, or Remedy at the end of the day. And then Scholarly Advice. Bring a visitor with you. They will purify the pool if you drag them to it. Done. So that's perfect for the Witch King. The Poison Pool, he might go there early. He might also try to, I mean, obviously we might try to see if the large campfire's in either of these 2 woods. But those are our events for day 1, week 1. Oh, and the Porter, where does the Porter show up? Let's not forget the porter. I think you pay him, what, $8 and he carries stuff for you. He's at the end. That is also, by the way, great for the Witch King, who cannot carry Jack by himself. So having a Lucky to carry stuff for him is actually a pretty big deal. That's it. That's our game setup. Let me save it because that would stink to not save. Let's save game, and we're gonna call it Captain, Woods Girl, Wizard, Witch King, which looks like White Knight, but hey, such is life. And there you go. We now have that game. We make sure it is up to date, done, and that's it. If you've stayed for the hour, gee, thanks. I do appreciate that. I get it, not the most scintillating stuff, but that is pretty much what I do every time I set one of these games up, is sort of go through this procedure each time. So the Magic Realm setup is sort of trivial, and then my setup is what takes forever. So we got Captain, Woods Girl, Wizard, Witch King, all set up. They're spread out, which I like. These are 4 really good characters. Probably of them, the one I am worst at playing is the Witch King, but I think I have at least a vaguely interesting plan for him. So I'm sort of excited about that. The Woods Girl is sort of an easy plan. She is ambush killer. The Wizard is mobility and opportunist, pretty much. He'll use sleep to keep himself safe until he finds something that he can kill. And then the Captain, I mean, mind you, the Captain, typically his first play can be to hire the guard, because he gets 1 die on higher rolls with the Captain adjustments there. What I am going to do before I do that, though, doing that is a little bit of a trap, and I'll tell you why. If you hire on day 1, so he's going to hire the guard, to keep in mind, he has to sell most of his stuff. So he's going to drop his crab. Which does remind me that probably the gold totals should have been rejiggered on my last game, because I didn't count against them, what they started with. But I'll worry about that. That's not a big deal. I do not care enough, effectively. So I sell off all my crap, I hire the guard. Now, that is different in my mind than, say, the Swordsman or the Woods Girl hiring a Yahtzee rogue. The reason you're hiring the Yahtzee rogue at the beginning is simply to have a body to throw at something you can't flee from. Like, the Woods Girl won't do that, because there's no point for her. She can run from everything in the game, except for the bats or the octopus. And there might be a couple others. So you don't do that. But if you're the Berserker, you do. You hire a couple guys. Why? To have some bodies. Those bodies take up shots. They allow you to lurch your weapon easy. They allow you to run if you need to run by throwing the bodies at them and taking the notoriety hit. Done. Hiring the guard is to get something done. You're literally selling the farm to do it. And so I always worry about doing it day 1, because then you're effectively saying, well, my first 2 weeks have to be great, because the chance of me making enough money to actually hire these guys again is low. I need to have done something to make this worthwhile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scout around. I'm going to scout around, maybe try to get Navigator done early. You have access to 2 treasure sites plus the ruin. I mean, you have access to a lot of hexes. See what you can find. Get a lay of the land. And then by week 2, or at least the beginning of week 3, you are hiring. That's my goal. My goal is to see what's what. Now, the danger there is you walk into something and you die because you don't have your buddies. So, but my goal is see what is here, and then come back and hire. And like I said, you want to do that by the end of week 2. That's the goal with the cap. So that's where I'm at. Thank you for watching. I will try to get to this game in the next couple days to give you a couple weeks to look at. And that's it. Thanks, man.